The reason of the universe will be like a question for me, I guess.
Okay. So you're saying, well, you're making a big claim there. You're saying you cannot have a rational answer to that question? Is that essentially what you're saying? To put it in other words, you know?
Answer for what? What question? Depends on what's the question.
Why does the world or the universe exist rather than non-existing? Simple, very simple question, but very not simple question at the same time.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not simple.
I don't think there's an answer to it. I think we can't know the answer because...
That's a claim, though.
Right, but
how can you substantiate that claim?
I think no one has knowledge.
That's another claim. So what you're saying, you've investigated like 8 billion people on the planet, and you know that no one has evidence, right? Because this is the thing. Like, there's a difference between being agnostic and saying I don't know, and then making claims and saying there isn't something, right?
No, I'm not saying there isn't. I'm saying in order to believe in something, I need to have evidence. So I just don't understand like what's the exact definition of agnostic. Okay. I think anyone who is agnostic is basically an atheist, because being atheist is just not believing in any
Yeah, I think atheists are confused. There are different types of atheists, right?
Exactly.
So you've got the hardcore ones who would say there is no God, and then they will say I'm not making a positive claim, while they are making a positive claim.
So,
but they're just not intelligent enough to get it. And then you got the soft atheists who would say I don't have evidence, I've not seen evidence, which is essentially maybe what you're saying. I've not seen evidence for God, therefore I'm like neutral position.
Like, for me, it's like the assumption, I guess, of like I don't have any evidence. It's like I don't believe in Bigfoot because I don't have any evidence for Bigfoot, so I just don't believe in Bigfoot. So that
I think it's more than
atheists
agnostic.
Yes.
Because it's like to believe in something, I need to have proof that it's real.
Okay.
So as long as I have proof there's God, so like for me,
you don't believe there's a God.
Yeah, I don't think there's. Maybe there is.
But you don't. This is the thing. You're not making a positive claim whether there is there isn't, right? So this is what an agnostic is, because agnostic comes from the Greek words, and it's two Greek words. A means without, gnostos means knowledge. Without knowledge, that's essentially what it means, right? This is the etymology of the word. So when you say you're agnostic, it means you don't know, you're not sure, you're not positive, you've not seen evidence. But again, this is the key point, right? Atheists use the term evidence a lot, right? But I would claim that atheists don't understand what evidence is. Like, for example, I'll ask you, what is convincing evidence from your worldview, from your understanding, that there is a creator, there isn't a creator? Go ahead.
Okay,
what will convince you?
The creator is one word, and the God has like for every culture and every religion.
There's agreed upon attributes. Like, for example, like created the universe, something created the universe, powerful, omniscient, omnipotent, these attributes, eternal and independent. These just basic attributes which everyone agrees upon.
So
right?
every single thing you just said can maybe qualify for the Big Bang, I guess, maybe.
I don't. Okay, that's like widely incorrect. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you have to disconnect that from the question of like a private God, like that exists, right?
Personal God, you mean?
A personal God, yeah.
No, I'm just trying to get what you're saying. Yes.
Personal God.
Yes. My English is not my first language as well, I'm just like you.
Yeah.
So look, okay. Regarding what you said, of course, the Big Bang has nothing to do with what I was talking about. First, the Big Bang is just talking about an existence of material, basically materials, right?
What I meant by the Big Bang is that something happened, and something probably caused it to happen, right? Obviously.
But then now you're supporting this side, right?
Exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that is very different than saying all the other claims that the religion has made.
If we take your claim, we would come to the conclusion there is a creator. Because look, if you say,
I understand that. Yeah.
Okay,
I agree with that.
Okay, so we agree there's a creator. Yeah?
A creator is one word that is like very specific. Like a creator can be something very, very different. You know what? Something intelligent, for example.
No, what I told you, just what I told you, like that, because in order for you to bring the universe into existence, in order for you to cause the Big Bang, if you want to use the terminology that you're using, right, you have to have power that we cannot even comprehend as human beings. Like the universe is full of atoms. If you split one atom, you got nuclear explosions, right? So the amount of energy within the universe is inconceivable. So whatever brought that into existence has power that we can't even comprehend. Now, if you look at the laws, Tell me.
I have no idea. I'm not a scientist. I mean, it sounds logic. It sounds logic.
It sounds logical, right?
Exactly. Yeah, but like, what do you mean by saying like the universe has a lot of rules, has like the core?
I didn't come to that. I was just talking about the universe itself is composed of atoms. It's made of atoms.
Yeah.
And atoms are composed, basically energy compressed into something, right? So if whatever caused the universe, he's the one who, it's the one or whoever it is that brings that into existence.
Okay.
So it must possess.
Science has answers how atoms work and why.
No, where do atoms come from? Science does not talk about where, why. Science talks about the function. So it talks about how something is, it does not talk about why it is. So science is not going to tell you why the universe came into existence, right? Science will tell you that, and cannot explain to you before what was happening before the Big Bang anyways. Scientists will tell you there was infinite equations before the Big Bang.
Right, but also,
you cannot understand.
But also, like let's say the Bible, the Quran, or every religion, they can't explain what was before the creation.
No, common
Just
sense
saying,
can.
They're just saying that we're not allowed to think what was before the creation. Yeah?
Who's saying that?
I don't know.
So okay, I didn't say that. Okay.
So what?
Yeah, no. Okay, what we're saying, look, what we're saying is very simple. Which what he was saying is logical, right? I'm saying something very simple. If there is a universe, that universe displays the attributes of its maker. It's a very simple concept. Like for example, this table displays the attributes of its manufacturer or maker, right? You cannot make this without knowledge of language to write literature on it, right? You need to know English and you need to know language and you need to be able to compose sentences in order for you to do it. You need to bring materials. You need to have wood, iron, etc. So I'm saying looking at this gives you already the attributes of whatever made it. Gives you some of the attributes of
And also the
that.
same thing about God. Who created God?
Yeah, that's
The same. There is a first thing. Yeah.
Let's take it a step by step. If we agree first, okay, when you look at the universe, we come to the attributes of whoever created the universe, which is the attributes I was talking about. So it has to be independent of the universe to bring the universe into existence. It has to have the amount of energy that I was talking about.
The example you gave from the table is the only thing we know about a table is someone built the table. We don't know someone created the wood and the nails and the other stuff.
I'm talking about the concept, the idea that if someone brings something into existence, right? Because we've agreed so far that the Big Bang requires something.
Okay, so
do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So if the Big Bang requires something, then we look at the Big Bang, we study the Big Bang itself, and it tells us about the attributes of why it made it, because we already been about that point, right? Okay, coming back to what I was saying, right? So you study whatever it is, and then you come to the conclusion, okay, these are the necessary attributes. So you look at the universe, you come to the attributes, okay, has to be powerful, independent, etc. You look at the laws within the universe, which require wisdom, which require knowledge. So you give these attributes, which are basic attributes I was giving you.
what do you mean by knowledge and wisdom?
Knowledge is organizing different things into laws, what we see, the laws of physics, gravity, orbits of planets, galaxies, stars.
What do you mean by...
Now you want me to define very basic terms, which like every human being understands. Like no one's gonna stop. It's like, what is knowledge? Like knowledge is knowledge, right? But this is sophistry, you know. Like it's very basic, right? Everyone understands what knowledge is. Everyone understands what power is, right? But when it comes to gods, for some, suddenly no one knows the language anymore. No, it's very simple.
Is it simple? For me, not.
What is not simple about knowledge?
No, I mean,
God?
No. The word knowledge, because he's saying, what do you mean by knowledge? Which is like,
no, it really depends on what I honestly don't exactly understand. What do you mean when you say like something knowledgeable created something? Okay, what do you mean by knowledgeable?
it has the knowledge to put things into perspective, into place, right? So for this comes before this comes after that. When you study the universe itself and see that there's a very good book written, it's called Six Numbers, sorry. It talks about how intricate it is, the universe, right? If things were to be tweaked, even just a single number to be tweaked, the universe would not exist, life would not exist, etc. So these things are in order, just like when someone writes a book, you know, you say you require knowledge to write a book, you put things in a specific order to convey a specific meaning or a purpose. That's what knowledge
So
means.
how did this God have all this knowledge?
That's the second question we said we're going to come to, right? So let's first agree on the first principle. Yeah? Lily, he doesn't want to agree, right?
I'm trying to understand.
Yes.
You don't think a fetus knows what is a child, right? What is
The
what
fetus
is
is.
a baby?
Are you saying the fetus
No,
is
I'm not.
self-aware?
No, something created the fetus, right? Is it like the semen? Is it what? And something created the semen.
Okay, what's the point? I'm
The
not
point
getting.
is that everything that you will bring it as an example for something that it creates something has to be created by itself.
But it's the same thing that I was just telling him. So he was just asking the same
But
thing.
you're saying like
I'm not. I'm going to come to that. I said I don't have an issue. We can deal with it. It's no problem, right? But okay, you're just saying everything has to come from something else, which furthermore supports what I was saying anyway. So I don't disagree with it. But then you come to the point and you say, okay, what about God? Where does God come from, right? And then I tell you that this question itself is irrational. I'll tell you why it's irrational.
Okay.
If you say this is a creator, and the creator has been created by something, you will ask the same thing ad infinitum. We'll have the infinite regression of this question. You'll say, okay, what created the creator? Then we'll say, what created the creator? And if this is the case, we wouldn't exist. Why? Because if I require you to create me,
That's exactly.
you get the point now.
Paradox. That's just a paradox.
It's not a paradox. I'm saying if I want to create this table, but I require you to create me first, and for you to create me, he needs to create you, and then we have an infinite cycle. I will never be created, and the table will never come into existence. But if the table did come into existence, that means this infinite chain doesn't exist. There's something eternal.
How come?
There's something eternal. I just answered you.
Yeah, but you're saying if there's something eternal, yeah?
Yes.
You're saying
There has to be something
yeah,
eternal.
but you're saying prove there's a God because like a table, someone has to create it. So someone had to create this world, universe, whatever. Yeah?
Okay. Yes.
So
And I'm saying you cannot keep saying who created the creator,
Right.
because when you do that,
Where do you
But if-
stop?
wait.
because the universe wouldn't exist if there was infinite change. So there has to be an eternal thing, which is what we refer to
right,
as
but
God.
if you're saying there is an eternal thing, so let's say like that. An eternal thing is not a thing we can understand. Like, it's an irrational thing, right? To say
Who
that
told you?
there is some.
Why are you saying that?
Because there is no.
Eternal is just one attribute, and I was already talking to you about
What's
the other.
eternity? What's eternity? It's like going back and back and back.
No, eternally means no start and no end. So you got post-eternal and pre-eternal, right? So you've got
mean no start.
there's no beginning of time and no end of time. It's a very basic thing.
How come?
Time itself, time space continuous that we function in is a part of the universe anyway.
Right.
Yeah. So what creates the universe? You're trying to apply this idea of time space continuous, which is literally created. The creator literally created what time is.
I see what you say,
But I feel both of you don't want to believe in God. Not that you don't believe in God, you know? Look, because you used to be religious, and you said you're Jewish and you used to be religious, right?
Yeah.
And you said your family is Jewish religious, but you're not yourself are not religious, right? So you used to be religious. And look, I sometimes I suspect, like, especially people who come from Israel, I suspect them a lot, right? I suspect that they say they're not religious while deep down they are religious. And then they try to do a game with other people, like about the existence of God or the creator or something like that. I do notice a lot. I see it happening.
People who say they're not religious and they are.
Meaning they come, they say, they pretend that they're not religious in order for them to have a conversation with someone else who is religious to convince them not to be religious for some reason, which I don't get, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you get what I'm saying now?
Okay.
You get what I'm
They
saying?
want you not to be Muslim, for example.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Okay.
No, but it happened a lot, so I noticed that happening a lot. But the thing is this: look, I've spoken to many people, and there are always two types of people: people who don't believe in God and people who don't want to believe in God. These are two different things, right? Because as humans, I believe first eternally we're born believing in a creator. Anyways, and there are studies showing that. For example,
Creator or believing in some
higher power that created the world as well.
But I was trying to make a difference between these two because it's very important.
Okay.
Because understanding.
Well, you already agreed there has to be something. You said that something.
Creator, yeah.
Yeah, we can agree there's a creator, but we said that
Higher power can be your mother, or it can be like someone.
No. The studies show a divine. They believe in a divine. They don't believe in a mother, father. The studies that I'm talking about, for example, Justin Barrett.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you can look at it, and it's done by atheists, like Justin Barrett, Oxford University.
I mean, that's very interesting. I mean, children and people in general believe in.
Not only that, they brought children from 20 different countries. Like people are not children are not preconceived with ideas, right? So it's innately within us as humans, right? And we claim as Muslims there's something called the fitrah.
Okay.
Fitrah is an innate disposition that God has created us with to recognize Him, and Islam says that way before these studies were showing you.
Can I ask you a question? Is there a way, just in general, for me or for someone else to learn Quran without trying to convert them, or trying to them?
What do you mean by that?
Like, I took the Quran.
Yes.
Because I'm curious.
Yes.
I'm curious for you.
Yes.
But, like, is there a way for me to learn from you or for someone else, just in a curious way, not in a way where you'll try to convince me to join the religion?
Are you saying can I?
Just we
Yeah.
like instantly we started like a conversation with, which is kind of
Not about God, not about Islam. I didn't even speak about Islam here, you know? I didn't talk about God because, like, yes, it has to start somewhere, isn't it?
exactly, but that's the starting point, and
yes.
we would probably continue into.
Yeah, no,
Me too.
no, I'm not trying to convince you. I believe faith is something within the heart, and the one who guides is God. I can tell you things day and night, but as I said to you, there are people who don't believe in God, those who don't want to believe in God. It doesn't matter how eloquent I am, because this is something you should know as well. Even from your tradition, prophets came and people rejected them. They were far more eloquent than me. Not only that, they had miracles, they had signs, according to the tradition, right? And that didn't work. I cannot do you a sign here, then, but you still are not going to take my word for it. So it's not about eloquency, but I do my job of delivering the message. Why? Because on the day of judgment, when you stand before God, you cannot say, I didn't know, I didn't understand. I played this game, it's not going to work, right?
So how
that way I've done my job, right? You got the message, you got the answers, but you still refuse to accept.
Your job is like with me, like is it 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 days?
There's no job. There's no job. I speak sometimes to people for 4 hours, 5 hours, I don't care.
Yeah, but I'm asking like when will be the point when you tell yourself, okay, I told him everything he needs to know, and now I can talk like without like the mission.
Yeah. So the thing is, I usually it just takes me 5 to 10 minutes to get someone's mentality. Usually, right? So it depends on their mentality. So there are people who are curious because people come to us, right? You don't go to people. Unlike, for example, certain Christians with microphones screaming in the streets, we don't do that, right? People come to us because they're interested in Islam, and because they have an interest already, what I do is just engage by telling them about Islam, right? Now I can gauge person's interest when I'm speaking to them. The person's actually interested or not, right? And I try to to pique some interest in them. So when they go, they can do their own research. They can maybe investigate a bit because a lot of people already have prejudices. They already have preconceived notions about what you believe, about your religion, all of that, right? So what I try to do is to actually fix these issues, right? Give them a correct view, correct understanding. Tell them things that they maybe did not think about before, like the questions I was asking you, which I'm assuming this is the one who's given you these questions before. In the same way, right?
Someone it's just a different language, but
yes.
Okay, so for me, in my perspective, like from what I know as a child and from what I hear from Christians, you guys, Christian, Jews, and Muslims, pretty much have very similar claims. You disagree? Of course, you disagree. Yeah,
not because I speak to them. Like I do this on a regular basis, so I have a position to disagree from, right?
Okay,
So,
but I mean,
have you spoken to Christians? Have you spoken to Christians?
Yeah.
Okay. What evidences would they provide for you?
I didn't spoke to them about God. I spoke to them about religion. No. So that was my point.
No. Can I tell you what they would tell you if they want to speak to you?
About God, just
almost every Christian. Every Christian has the same story, right? I was depressed. I was a drug addict. Blah blah blah. Jesus came in my dream. I saw him. This is Christianity, okay? I didn't do that with you. I'm never going to do that, right? This idea, this story, Jesus loves you, and all of this fuzzy story is what Christianity is about, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then they're going to try to tell you all of this contradictory things. God is 3. He's actually 1. He's 3 in 1. He's 1 in 3. He's himself, but not himself. He killed himself. And all of this nonsense, right? You're not going to get that from a Muslim, right? A Jewish person, on the other hand, is not going to even try to preach his religion. He doesn't want you anyways.
Yeah, he wants me, not you.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making, right?
Yeah.
So they're very different from one another.
No.
And how a Jewish person understands life or reality or thinks about religion is way different from how a Muslim does, right? You should know that more than me.
So in what way it is similar, in my opinion? So like as a child, the way they deal with a lot of like questions with like science and philosophy, I hear basically the same talking points from all three about like evolution, about the Big Bang, and like anything that is kind of
Look, I'll give you an example. Like, one of the most popular Christian philosophers, apologists.
That's not a critique. I'm just
No.
Is like knowing the differences, because the similarities
Of course.
I kind of already know because I know them from like my childhood. I know like everything that they go.
I only talk about differences. I don't like similarities.
Of course, yeah.
Because that's what makes me different from you. If it's like we agree on everything, there's no point, right?
Yeah.
You have a question.
That was a question. Not this is making me not believe, but it's a question.
Yes.
Let's say there is a God and there's not only a creator, no, a God that is telling us what to do and we have to follow it. There's so many religions in the world, yeah? Who said that your religion is right? Or Jewish or Christian or
Good
Buddha
question.
or whatever.
Good question. Whoever claims the religion is the truth, I personally have a four-step criteria that I always apply, and I think it's a very reasonable criteria, right? The first thing I say is whatever scripture that you're presenting, it has to itself claim it's from God, right? In order for me to start investigating, at least it has to claim it's from God. In order for me to investigate whether it's from God or not, right? If it doesn't claim it, there's no point. And you'll be surprised that the writers of the New Testament were not claiming that they're writing the words of God to begin with, but Paul came later on claiming that about them, right? So when the writers themselves are not claiming it, why should I take that claim seriously from someone who came later on? I'm giving you an example, right? The second thing after that, there are four things, right? The second thing after that is that the scripture has to be preserved. It has to be evidence that this thing is preserved from the source, the original source. So corruption or changes.
There's proof that the Bible or the Quran is from God.
I'm coming to that. You're very, I know you're like excited, yeah. Like, step by step, because these all of them are important. Like for example, when I say it has to be preserved, why is that important? Because if I want to follow God's words and it's changed, I wouldn't know what God said from what people say, right? Someone would put his own beliefs and pretend that he's God, right? Okay. The third thing cannot have contradictions. Because if you believe in a creator, God does not make mistakes, contradictions, right? The last thing is it has to have evidence of divine origin, which is essentially what you're asking. From an Islamic point of view, these are many, right? First, for example, I would say the prophecies of Prophet Muhammad 1,400 years ago, what he said, which is we see today with our own eyes, literally happening. What he told us will happen is exactly what's happening. Another example, I'll give you an example. Prophet Muhammad said you will see the barefoot Bedouin Arabs competing in building the tallest buildings. You know where is the tallest building in the world today? Burj Khalifa is the tallest world. Yeah. Do you know, he said that the earth will puke as treasures and money will become abundant to the Arabs. So what treasures did the earth puke? Do you know 50 years ago, if you go to Dubai, it's a desert. It's nothing. And oil was no value except this, because now we're using it as fuel and we're using it
50 years ago,
step by step, yeah?
50 years ago, you wouldn't have any answer for that? Only now, after they build the tallest building?
No, but what the Prophet says, that someone come and asking him about the hour, Day of Judgment, right? And then the Prophet said, I'll give you the signs that will happen. So these...
So it's now?
Yeah, so we're very close to the Day of Judgment, basically, right? So we have minor and major signs. So most of these, what we call prophecies, are signs of the Day of Judgment. So they tell you that we're getting very close to the end times. That's essentially what they do. For example, Prophet Muhammad spoke about the deserts of Arabia, and he said they will become green again. He's making two claims there.
You mean by green?
Green, meadows and rivers. He said it will become meadows and rivers again. There's two claims there. First, that it was in the past. Second, that it will be in the future. Now, if you go to Nature Middle East, they have an article that 5,000 to 6,000 years ago, it was all meadows and rivers there. And they show you, because there's 10,000 ancient lakes, traces of them that they see with satellites. They see fossils of animals, like, you know what, can live only in water, elephants, etc., right? Something the Prophet could not do, right? He doesn't have satellite, he's not going to study fossils. And he's talking about the future. And right now, you can just put NASA greenery of Arabia, or they will show you, literally in the last 50 years, it's like turning from yellow into green, you know? Okay? And that is because of our advancements of our agriculture.
It's so cool. I'll tell you why. Because as a child, I had like the same things, like the same what's the word?
Interest?
Prophets,
prophecies.
Prophecies.
Yes.
They used to give me a lot of examples of prophecies that became true. So it's cool. You guys also have.
No, but what you're saying is probably things in the past. Or are you talking about?
Both. Yeah, there's like some stuff of in the Talmud, like the rabbis knowing stuff that happened like thousands of years before. But Earth being round, stuff like that.
Yes,
whatever.
Yes. Yeah, these things are there as well. I'm going to even come to that as a different story. But the prophecies in Islam are not found anywhere else. You're not going to be able to present that in Judaism. You're not going to be able to present that in Christianity. You're not going to be able, because there are numerous prophecies, tens. I can now give you tens now, right? Just me speaking, and these are clear. Like some of them are even time bound. The Prophet said, for example, which was happening at his time. You had the Byzantine Empire, Roman and Persian Empire. They were fighting, and the Prophet and the Persian Empire just defeated the Roman Empire. They were decimating him. Took over Antioch, took over Damascus. They took over Jerusalem, which was the holy city of the Roman Empire. All historians said this is the end of the Roman Empire. You can see that letter that the Persian king sent to the Roman king, calling him his dog, and this. It was like the end. People were saying it's the end. And then the pagan Arabs were mocking the Muslims. The Quran was revealed that the Romans will defeat the Persians in 3 to 9 years specifically. right? And this is exactly what happened. Okay, and this was like, it's insane. It's insane if you look at history. You look what historians said, non-Muslim historians, about this idea that it was not, could not be predicted in any way, shape, or form.
There are fortune tellers today also. You've seen the news, like some of the fortune teller from I don't know where, like predicted the COVID or whatever.
Yeah, the difference is the following. Is this?
Proof of that.
No. The difference is there's a huge difference between what you're talking about and what I'm talking about, right? So our criteria is the following: you cannot make any mistakes. The prophet cannot say this will happen and it does not happen. If it does, then he's not a prophet of God, right? Fortune tellers can say a million things, one thing is right, and then it goes to the news, right? This is not the case, right? Also, these things are specific. I'm telling you, some of them are time bound, right? So it's not a predictable things. Like you watch football a lot, you know the best team, and you say they're going to win. That's not prophecy. That's just being predictable, right?
Are you sure that everything Muhammad said is available today, and not only the stuff that like is more predictable, more?
Do you know what you said 5 minutes ago is proof of that? Like for example, you said this narration about the tall buildings, which were not there 50 years ago, but that narration was still in our books.
Sure.
Yeah, because we don't just put what we like,
Yeah,
right?
sure, but
there are multitudes of things in our books.
What would happen if, like, in 10 years, the tallest building will be in Paris? They'll say, okay, let's wait another.
No, but the prophet said he didn't say it's going to be forever. He's just saying when you start seeing this,
Statistically.
when you start seeing the Bedouin Arabs doing these things.
I mean, I'm sure you have better examples of prophecies.
No, there are many examples, and I
Yeah,
give you
I mean,
some.
that one
Like
is
I
not-
give you an example of. I just give you two examples, literally,
Yeah.
right? And I give you an example of the greening of the deserts of Arabia, right? There are multiple. Like for example, the Prophet said about interest, right? Which is you guys are like, you like interest, yeah? So the Prophet said about interest. You guys like interest. You like it a lot. You take it from the non-Jews, but you don't take it from Jews. You know that or no? You don't know about interest and usury.
Oh.
Usury, interest. You guys, what do you guys? You don't call it interest. You call it usury.
No, מדבר על
We call it riba. We got a term.
repeat.
Oh, it's a close term, isn't it? Because we got a lot of close terms. Like you guys, yad in the Arabic language is yad as well, for example. Nabi, it's very close terms between things here. Yeah, there's not much differences, So when I start telling you Barashib, Bara, Elohim, Hashamayim, we understand each other, right?
Oh, sure. So you're right.
Well, anyways, coming back to what I was
All
saying.
Semites, no?
Yeah. So coming back to what I was saying. Look, usury and interest, you could only do it if you have paper currency, essentially. Because if you have gold and silver, you cannot lend massive amounts of it because it's limited. So you cannot have usury and interest on a global scale unless you have a different form of currency.
Okay.
The Prophet said that usury and interest will become so widespread that even if Muslims try to avoid it, they will still be affected by it. And this is a fact today. Even though Muslims don't deal with interest and usury, it still affects them because they have to deal with the banking system, etc. Right? So this is another example of something that this you cannot predict, right? Why you cannot predict it? Why you cannot predict it on a global scale? Because you need a currency. There was no paper currency at that time.
What do you mean?
There was gold and silver. It was mineral. So if you have gold and silver, you cannot have user interest on a global scale. Do you understand this point?
No, at that age you had gold and silver, but it was like a coin made by some kind of a regime or some kind of a...
No, but you're not getting the point I'm saying. Do you know how usury works?
Sure.
Yeah, so you lend money, and then you get it back, right? More than what you lend. So in order for you to lend on a global scale, you need a massive amount first to lend to the people.
Yeah, but like...
You don't have unlimited stock of gold and silver.
Yeah, but in order for that to affect people, like Muslim people or Arabs, it doesn't have to be on a global scale.
It's not Arabs. The Prophet said it will be widespread globally. It will be a global widespread. So it's not just necessarily it's going to affect the Arabs. He's saying even Muslims who try not to do it because it's prohibited in Islam will still be affected because of how global it is, right? So, but the thing is this: it's not about how many prophecies I give you, right? This is just an example. He was asking me about the evidence, right? This is just an example of one. This is just an example of one type, right? Not only that, the Quran talks. This is one example. I say there's different types, and within the types there's examples. So one type is prophecies, then there are different types of prophecies, right? You got, for example, the Quran talking about the natural world, which is similar to what he was saying, for example, about the shape of the earth, expansion of the universe, the embryo, development in the mother's womb, the stages, right? Things that you can't even think about, right? this is in the Quran as well, and you can see, you can observe things that today they're actually learning through what they would call science, right?
Is it literal in a way that I will understand it in the English translation?
Yeah, absolutely. But some verses you might need to research the context, right? Because obviously there is historical context.
Or is it only with the context, or is it something that I will understand reading?
No, if you read the Quran the way I give it to you, you'll get the general message, right? But the thing is, if you don't understand the context behind some of the verses that was revealed,
so it's a context.
some verses.
Okay.
Like the Quran was revealed on 23 years, for example. It's not like the Torah. It was not written by God and given to Moses. It's not the same. It's not like the commands was given. So the Quran was revealed on 23 years, and a lot of it was circumstantial. Things happen, right? And Quran came talking about these instances.
What is the difference between the Hadith and the Quran?
The Quran is verbatim the words of God, so God spoke it, right? And then revealed it. And when God spoke it, the angel Gabriel transmitted it to Prophet Muhammad. The Hadith is the Prophet's teachings, right? So what the Prophet, through God revealing to him that, okay.
Talmud in Judaism.
Sorry?
It's like the Talmud in Judaism.
Well, the Talmud is more the rabbis, isn't it? It's not the prophets only, it's the rabbis, right? But in Islam, this will be scholar tradition like the tafsir or other things, right? Hadith is only the prophets, not the companions of the prophet, not the people who came, even though we take from them.
So there's probably more text in the Hadith than in the Quran, right?
Yeah, there are tens of thousands, because they expound or like how to practice the Quran, how to live your life, etc. Just like Talmud this is a similar idea, right?
The Bible has like a main section of the prophets.
Yes. So, and these are some examples. Like there are many things. I'm just giving you some of these examples. So when you ask, why would someone be a Muslim? It's because of these evidences that I would claim are not in other religions. And I would challenge Jewish people. You give me evidence. Where's the evidence for Judaism?
That's a religious.
Oh, okay.
I get it.
Yeah, you can go to them. It is not. And I speak to them. And the Christians especially not going to give you any evidence. You know? I think we both agree on that one, right? So, seeking evidence is what is eventually going to lead you to guidance. This is the claim that I'm saying, right?
Where we need to go into the next.
Yeah, no problem. No, you guys gave a lot of time. Sorry?
One thing for sure, I don't know
Yes.
about religion, but one thing for sure, you're a really good talker.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. I hope so. Look, in the end, I want big guidance for people, right? And I was just telling you about the video I had with the IDF soldier, right? Because he came on my live stream and he had his name.
In London?
No, I do live streams online as well, right?
Yeah,
so he came
we
on my
both
live.
don't like IDF soldiers in general, so
Yeah, okay.
you don't need to bring us.
What do you guys think about the conflict? What people call conflict, which I disagree. It's not nowhere conflict, but okay, that's good. Like, look, I think people like you should.
We're seconds from.
No, but I think people like no. I'm gonna say people like you should speak out, right? Because Jewish
What do you mean
people
by speak out? Like, is Twitter enough?
mean be more vocal. Because what tends to happen is you would get a lot of hate based on what other Jewish, like what we got from what happened in September, the 2 buildings in America. What we got, which something has nothing to do with us. Muslims had to speak out for tens of years. You get the point. In order to be vocal, this is nothing to do with us. We don't agree with this.
Do you believe that Jews did the 9/11?
Honestly, look, have you? Look, before speaking, because there's a lot of things that are censored online, maybe off camera I can tell you. But the thing is, look.
Let's go into that.
Look, I think doing a bit more research on what was happening, not only that, the government documents from the American government itself, no conspiracies, what they said, what was going on. If you look at all the data, you'll be surprised. That's all I'll say. It's not one job of one person. There are 3 governments involved. That's what I would say.
Okay, what's the theory in general? Is it like that the Mossad, like the Israeli government, the Zionists, or
Whose theory? That's the thing. There are people who are like very crazy about the conspiracy theories. There are people who are more on the study side and this and that. So it depends on the individual, right? So I'm going to mention a name of one example now, which probably I'd blur his name, right? But his name is Dawson, right? You might want to check his research on the issue because he goes more into like, as I said to you, government documents, right? What they actually tell you. So not what he pretends happened. No, actually the government says, okay, this happened. There was these reports. He will give you the news reports from the channels themselves. Who's talking about it after it was happening? So he's like, he was censored on everything basically, which shows that someone is trying to silence something. Because if you can speak about anything, why is this topic different?
After all, I think it doesn't really matter because what happens now in Palestine is like you can't justify it, even though, let's say,
It's not to do with it anyways. It's not to do with what happened in America. It's just to do with the land, and you know that very well, right? But
Do you believe that Zionists are trying to control the world?
not the world. I mentioned this many times before, right? Zionists have the idea of the land of Canaan, and the land of Canaan mentioned in the Bible. What is the land of Canaan? You probably guys should know already. Yeah, the land of Canaan, right? Canaanites, where Jeremiah went and he's like slaughtered everyone. Then he took the land, right? So that land is what they want, is what I believe, right? And obviously, rebuilding a temple is a very important thing that I believe is trying to be established, trying to be done, right?
Sure.
So, but taking over the world is a different story.
I don't think like the government right now or ever did try to do it, but you do see like a growing like
used to be
amount of
extreme.
It's a future plan. It's a future plan. It's a future plan, and it takes a gradual steps, basically.
Yeah, I hope people in Israel will see it. I don't want to. But
So we both have friends in Israel, but
Yes.
like,
But this is the thing. Why can't you actually say what you believe, right? Why
what do
can't?
you mean by cat? I won't be killed, but
No.
no,
What do you mean
social.
can't?
What do you say? What do you say?
I won't be killed. What do you mean can't?
No, I'm okay. So why is it sensitive to say what you think?
Here it's not
Because people in Israel are brainwashed and they will get very, very mad. Sure.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, well,
I
my
already lost a
question.
few
But really, that's the thing I'm saying. Why did I say you should be more vocal? Because this brainwashing needs to be fixed.
Sure, but what do you mean by vocal? I might be vocal enough.
No, I don't know. I don't know what you do. I'm just speaking in general. I'm saying people like you guys who actually say, yeah, this is actually wrong. We are on the Palestinian side. I'm saying they need to be more vocal because first it removes hatred. Because you might get in a situation you don't like just because you're Jewish, because of what happens, right? People are crazy. They're idiots, so they do something to you, you know. And as a Muslim, I know this very well because I can see how some Muslims comment on certain things, just emotionally thinking, you know what? Oh, I've seen all of these videos, so they get emotional and then they want to do something. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think it's always good for people who are actually on the right side to say, okay, you know what? We're not with this. This is a group of people, Zionists. They want to do specific things. We're just living our lives. We don't even believe in God. You know?
social media.
At least we came to the conclusion you guys don't believe in God. Yeah. Okay. At least. Okay. Anyways, it was nice talking to both of you. It was a nice conversation. You know. So read
YouTube or TikTok? Which one?
YouTube. I can give it to you if you want.
Sure.
Okay.
يا دعاة رب السماء يا من صنعتم في الأرض نورا يا قلوبا فيها الوفاء بشركم اليوم السرور